Hey guys, and welcome to this video on Black Moon Lilith in astrology. I'm Cassandra, the Saffron Sage, helping you use astrology to evolve, and in this video we're talking about Black Moon Lilith. The Black Moon Lilith, we'll talk about what the point is, we will talk about the mythology, and then we'll go through what it means for the sign that you have Black Moon Lilith in your natal chart. So Black Moon Lilith is not a planet, it's not an asteroid, it is a point in space. It's called a lunar apogee, and it is the distance from the Earth to the furthest point on the moon's orbit. So the moon travels around the Earth in an elliptical orbit. It's not a perfect circle. So there is a point that ends up being further away from the Earth on that circle. And so Black Moon Lilith is that point in space. There is the Black Moon Lilith, and there's also the true Black Moon. So if you really want to get technical, you can look at both of these and see which one you feel resonates. But for the purposes of this video, just simply clicking Lilith in the chart on other objects in astro.com and seeing where it shows up in your chart, that is enough to get value out of these videos. So that being said, let's move on to the myth of Lilith. So Lilith was the true first lady before Eve even existed. Lilith was the first lady, and she was in the Garden of Eden with Adam. And one of the stories I read says they were both created from the dust of the earth. And there are many different myths that talk about Lilith. There's not just one, so these differ. But the gist of the story is that she wanted to be on top. Adam said, "No, you'll submit to me," and she would not submit. And because she would not submit, she got kicked out. Some people say she left, some people say she got kicked out, but the sort of overarching theme here is that she was not accepted just for having the same desires that Adam had. I think it's so fascinating that this story isn't even told. And so again, here the myths differ, but they all kind of basically curse her in some way or another. One that I read said that her children would be cursed to die if she didn't come back to Adam. So we see the themes in this story of, the masculine need for power and control and the feminine need to be wild and free, and how those don't match up. So what does this mean in the natal chart? Lilith has, in my opinion, two meanings. Okay, so one meaning is that Lilith can be the shadow. So this can be an area of life where you tend to overdo it. You have maybe too much of this energy, or the way that you express the energy wherever your Lilith is in your chart is like the shadow side of that sign, the negative side, the overindulgence. It can be where you feel like there's never enough. The second meaning of wherever your Lilith is the thing that people don't let you express, the thing that people get upset at you for expressing. And this may or may not be the energy of your sun, moon, or rising, depending on where Lilith is in your chart. But oftentimes you can actually be embodying this energy in a normal, regular way, and people will not accept you for living that out, even if it's balanced. And so it takes a little bit of self-knowledge, like true self-knowledge, true soul searching, to really be able to kind of parse out the difference with Lilith between where you possibly could be overindulging, where you could be, never satisfied, versus where you are naturally embodying that energy in a balanced and healthy way, but it somehow rubs other people the wrong way. Just like Lilith in that story where she wasn't really doing anything wrong. She just said no once. And that was enough to get her cast out of basically society and demonized for the rest of her life. So this is the story in our own lives where we have those sort of archetypes, those themes play out, even if they're not as extreme, right? So we might not be cast out of society, but people around us might not approve for certain things. And, that has ripples and layers of effects. So let's now get into what Lilith means in your sign. If you have Lilith in the sign of Capricorn, let's talk about it. The first way this can show up is having too much, having an excess. So this kind of shows up almost like a black hole for you, almost like this place in your chart, place in life where you just can't get enough of this energy. And so it's up to us all to kind of see where we lie on that spectrum, and how much of this is okay and how much of it falls under shadow, and how to love that shadow anyway, and how much of that shadow to embrace, etc. Totally depends on the person. But for Lilith and Capricorn, the thing that you might not have enough of is power, accomplishment, success, and feeling like you've done a good job. Another way this can show up is you are the person who feels like they can't see those qualities enough in other people. Like there's never enough around you of people of influence. You can never get enough of the social circles, of being around the winners, or even in your own life, in your personal life, where the people around you are never enough. Like they're never successful enough, or you always feel like they could be more, they could do better. And so it's up to you to see where on that spectrum you are. Another way that Capricorn energy shows up in general is pessimism, realism, an insatiable need to always be on the look on the negative side, always be looking at what the problem could be and fixing the problem and trying to find the problem so you can fix them. So this could show up in some ways, almost like this obsessive need to orient toward the problem and solving a problem instead of toward a solution. This is not going to be true for everyone. You have to just figure out what resonates for this video. The last way this could show up is never being virtuous enough, never giving up your own personal desires and comforts enough. Because Capricorn is the sign of virtue, of sacrifice, and used in the right way, that sacrifice is really beautiful. It's really beautiful when you give up something and then later you get to have it. It's more delicious to eat food if you haven't eaten in a while. And so that's part of the enjoyment of life for Capricorn. But when you have Lilith here and there's a propensity toward excess, you can go too far on that side of extremes of giving up things. So you'll know if this applies to you if you do things like extreme disciplined activities, and you don't let yourself have enough reward for those activities. And this could range from a huge amount of things, from workaholism, from being really like an endurance athlete or doing other kind of athletics. It could show up in how you treat your body. It could show up in how you are in your relationships, even, where Lilith and Capricorn might not let themselves have fun enough. They might not let themselves do things that they want to do just because it feels good enough. And so just know, if that resonates, take it. So now let's talk about what happens when other people are trying to repress this Lilith and Capricorn energy. So this is going to look like people telling you to don't work for your dreams. You don't need to work so hard. This is almost like the energy of someone who's really, really healthy and someone who is unhealthy, who just eats crap all the time, telling you, oh, you should have cake. It's like you have to consider the source, all right? And so the source in this case is going to probably be people who don't have enough of that Capricorn energy of self-sacrificing. So, you might find that people who are more interested in their own comfort are going to criticize you when you deny the comforts for success. Now, it's up to you to figure out how much of this is shadow coming out and people recognizing versus how much is you just embodying this energy in its natural state and people hating you for it. And then it's also up to you to decide, how much do I want to embrace this energy anyway and let the chips fall where they may? Or how much do I want to repress this energy within myself so that I can just survive or whatever? So if you're on the extreme end of repressing this Lilith and Capricorn, you will actually be more of a person who likes their comforts and who maybe doesn't even try for hard things because of the fear of failure or something like that. But if you're embracing this Capricorn energy and you're really shining in this Lilith energy, you may find people are more critical towards you around situations that have to do with work or values. If you do something out of integrity and then someone criticizes you for that and is like, well, you don't have to be so perfect. So it could be people who don't understand or appreciate your integrity, your work ethic, your ability to sacrifice. People who tell you need to take a break when you actually don't. Okay, so these are going to be times when you're like, you don't actually need a break. They're just maybe projecting something onto you. Or remember that Adam wanted Lilith to do what like do what he wanted for him. So this is where people will tell you to stop being who you are because it works better for them. So let me know, you guys. I think that's everything I have on Lilith and Capricorn. And you can also book a private reading with me if you want to go into your Lilith. We can also talk about your life path if you feel like you're on it, what you would be good at, what you need to change, how to navigate the transition you're in, all that stuff. You can click the link below to book a reading with me, and I will see you guys in the next video.